Hello everyone and welcome back to Perpetual Chess. It is FIDE candidate season. One of my favorite tournaments, one of the biggest chess events of the year is coming up starting on March 20th. Super excited to dive into it and to discuss it. We have one of the pod's BFFs, Grandmaster Jan Gustafsson. This one's a special treat because Jan will be covering the FIDE candidates. He will be one of the commentators on site with his old friend Grandmaster Peter Svidler. Of course, longtime chess fans remember their many amusing and insightful appearances covering large chess events for Chess24. So really excited to have them back in the broadcasting chair. And we'll bring Jan in a minute. Just wanted to cover a couple news items first. Number one, just to give a little more information about the FIDE candidates. This, of course, is the tournament that determines who challenges for the World Championship. So again, it starts March 29th. It's in Cyprus, which is an island country in the Mediterranean Sea. Beautiful looking country that I've unfortunately never had the pleasure of visiting. And 8 participants who endured a long qualification process based on ratings and results in certain tournaments. How they qualified will come out in my conversation with Jan, which is already recorded. And everyone plays everyone twice. So it's a double round robin format, 1 slow game per day with some rest days. Happy to report that we'll be continuing the tradition of doing some bonus coverage of the event. I've already lined up some friends who will be there. Shout out to IM Michael Rahal, FM Mike Klein. We'll see who else we line up, but excited to do some chats and try to bring you some extra coverage on some of the rest days as we have done in the past. And I think the rest of the details that you need to know if you don't already know them will come out in the course of my fascinating conversation with Grandmaster Jan Gustafsson. So before we get you to the conversation with Jan, I wanted to let you know about a few things. So on May 12th, 2026, if you happen to be in the New York area, if you live in that area or are visiting, I've mentioned this in previous years, Chess in the Schools, which provides free chess instruction and takes kids to tournaments and to nationals, is a nonprofit in New York City doing fantastic work. I used to work for them. They do a chess/poker fundraiser that's a lot of fun. A lot of grandmasters, a lot of famous poker players attend. So if you're feeling generous and able to afford to support a generous cause, I'll link to how to buy a ticket and participate in the tournament. Definitely recommend the experience if it's doable for you. And of course, I would like to thank our sponsors. Thanks to our longtime sponsor, Chessable.com. Usually when we have Jan on, we're talking about his latest course. We do discuss it a little bit. He's working on an English course, he said, the English opening. But you should check out Jan's courses. Obviously, I'm a friend of his. I'm biased, but he's also, he used to work for Magnus Carlsen's prep team, one of the best opening theoreticians in the world. And of course, has Vyacheslav Nemec often helping him out, making sure that all of the explanations are lucid and not just in Grandmaster hand-waving style. So be sure to check out Jan's and all of Chessable's vast catalog of opening, middle game, end game, tactic courses. This episode is also brought to you in part by our friends at Chessiverse.com. So for those not familiar, Chessiverse is a new site co-founded by IM Jan Bartholomew, YouTube OG. And Chessiverse offers over 600 human-like chess bots. So these bots have unique styles and imperfections. They play more like real people than robotic AI. And of course, you can play them anytime. You can set them to play whatever opening you're working on so that you don't have to just, study an opening for hours and then hope to get a game in it. You can drill whatever specific, random, dodgy gambit you're workshopping. Chessiverse also has practice positions, puzzles, daily and weekly challenges. It has Guess the ELO, blindfold mode, much more. Recently, they revamped their bots to reflect even more human-like playstyles. So this is like Bots 3.0, I think. And they released their first course from IM Jan Bartholomew, the Comprehensive Scandinavian, of course, the opening for which he is most famous. The course promises a unique approach with a strong focus on playing the positions and not just memorizing lines. So if you want structured improvement while still feeling like you're playing humans, but you don't have to worry about cheating, maybe your ego gets less invested when you're playing a bot, go to Chessiverse.com. That's Chessiverse.com. It's free to play there, free to check it out, but you can enjoy 30% off of John's course or 30% off of premium offerings if you use the code Perpetual30. That's Perpetual30. All one word. And as always, I will drop the links you need in the show notes. So That's all for the preamble. Got a fun, amusing interview with Grandmaster Jan Gustafsson. We go player by player discussing all of the contestants in the upcoming FIDE candidates. So let's get you to it. And we are rejoined by our all-time guest leader, the renowned opening theoretician, Twitch streamer, Chessable author. But in a plot twist, this particular episode, he is not here to shill a Chessable course, although you're still welcome to buy his courses. He's also a former Team Magnus member, a commentator who will be reuniting with his old friend, Grandmaster Peter Svidler, to cover the 2026 FIDE candidates from the location of the event in Cyprus. And we are honored, as always, to welcome back to the program Grandmaster Jan Gustafsson. Welcome, Jan.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been some months. I've had to navigate it on my own. It hasn't been easy.
Did you have Greg on in the meantime? I'm just worried about my lead.
I think I did have Greg on, but you're pretty safe because the thing is, you're still involved in chess. And Greg, he says he's ready to come on anytime, but he's not, like, he runs his U.S. chess school, but he's not super visible online and not doing a lot of other stuff. So I don't bug him as often. For example, he doesn't have like Chessable courses to shill as you do. So I think your lead is only going to grow as long as you don't start refusing my requests.
I never would. It's a pleasure to be here. So what are we doing? We're doing candidates preview. What's on the agenda?
Yeah, we're going to try to save any nonsense banter towards the end, and we're going to preview the 2026 FIDE candidates. So I want to go player by player, Jan, but first we have a big picture question from friend of the pod, Han Shu, who was recently on the podcast. He's doing some vibe coding. Okay, we're going straight to the nonsense, actually. Have you been doing any vibe coding, Jan?
I still don't really know what that means. Like, I use ChatGPT for any random problem in my life, but I wouldn't really call it coding. The problem is, it normally sounds very smart, but whenever I happen to have a clue about the topic, he makes up like half of it, right? So I'm not sure I can trust the guy.
Yeah, I mean, they say it's gotten better, and actually Han used Claude in particular is supposed to be better for using it to code, and I guess some people don't like it when they call it vibe coding, so I apologize to those people. But anyway, Han...
Very offensive already. Lost the vibe coding community.
Gonna get canceled, yeah. But Han actually used it to build this like pretty cool chess database. So, but yeah, I haven't ventured into those waters either. But returning to the topic at hand, so here is the question from Han. Thanks to Han for helping to support Perpetual Chess. He says, happy to hear that the legendary Svidler-Gustafsson duo will be doing the official FIDE commentary. And the question is there a best target strategy for the 14-round double round robin candidates tournament? For instance, should you target getting to +2 or 3 by round 10 or 11, or conserve energy for the last handful of rounds, and then adjust your strategy in terms of how aggressive you are based on how you're doing? Or do you think you just kind of need to take the games as they come?
That's already a tough question. I don't think there really is a strategy. I should have +2 after 6 rounds and then +4 after 10. The good old game after game does apply, right? So it's good to score points at any moment. Of course, people will start taking more risks when they're around 50% or +1 or wherever, and there's not that much tournament to go. But I don't think you can pace yourself really. What you sometimes see happening is once people get to +3, they start freezing a little bit or stop taking a bit of risk and are waiting for the moment or the lower rated opponent, which can work or cannot work. But the pacing thing, I don't really understand. You're only playing world-class players. It's not like you can say, okay, I'll chill for the first 7 rounds, make a bunch of draws, won't put in too much effort, and then I'll start, once they're tired, I'll start winning. That's not how it works.
So it all comes back to your often given advice as a team captain to take it one game at a time?
It's of course a cliche, and you can do certain things, which I'm sure people are doing. Usually, a lot of people think in degrees of rest days, like you have the first 4 games, I'm assuming, and then a rest day. So you have your preparation set for these first 4 games, and then you can maybe evaluate your score and your prep and your holds and your form on the rest day and try to adjust a little bit. But yeah, when it comes to planning when you score which point. I don't think people can or should do that.
Okay. And Han also was wondering if you think there's a player who's a favorite to have a particularly strong finish. Like, does the young energy that someone like Sindarov have, could that favor him compared to someone who might feel the weight of the moment, like Caruana or Nakamura?
Once again, random speech, but normally I would think, if anything, it's the other way around, that sometimes newcomers with the weight of this tournament, they find it a little harder to pace themselves. Sindarov, in particular, of course, has great stamina and just won the World Cup. But doesn't Hikaru normally start winning all his games near the end of these tournaments? And he's the oldest, right? So I'm not sure that's an age thing.
Okay. Well, we'll be getting more into it as we go player by player. But before we do that, we were discussing briefly before we started recording. So you said the hotel looks nice in Cyprus.
Do
you know,
nice.
Is your flight booked? Do you know how early you're getting there? Stuff like that?
The flight is booked. I'm not sure if it's been cancelled yet. I heard they keep cancelling flights to Cyprus, but I remain optimistic. It's gonna happen. But yeah, I guess I'll get there 2 days early. As usual, I don't know dates. I'm going whenever. 26th, 27th. I think 27th, and they start 29th. Something like that.
Yeah, FIDE's doing the thing where if you look up when it starts, it says the 28th, but that's just the opening
but
ceremony.
It's a lie, right?
Yeah, it starts on the 29th. And you guys will be covering both the Open and the women's event?
I assume so. Frankly, I don't really know. Not like I've done a lot of homework yet, which will also affect this pot negatively. But I focused on the Open event thus far. I'm not sure if there are any set rules for what percentage or if you jump anywhere where it's exciting. But I'm assuming there aren't two separate commentary teams. But we're covering both. Should find out eventually, actually.
Yeah, I mean, that's why you get there 2 days early.
Exactly. I'll do some vibe coding.
Exactly. Okay, so we're going to go player by player. I have arranged these in reverse rating order. So we are going to start with the lowest seed if it were to be seeded by rating. And this is, and I'll be giving a little biographical information that you already know, Jan, for the less informed listener. So Matthias Bluebaum, 28 years of age, 2698 rating, from Germany. And I'll be sharing the odds from Kalshi because I'm always saying how it's hard to find odds, but it's getting easier these days with these big trading markets. So Bluebaum, according to Kalshi, and these are not like super liquid markets, but you could probably bet $50 on it if you wanted, 2% to win the candidates. And I have a fun fact for each player. The fun fact: first German candidate since Hubner 35 years ago. So, how are you feeling about Bluebaum, Jan?
No, of course, I'm a little biased rooting for him since I'm also the German national head coach. But yeah, he's a bit of a Cinderella story. I'm not sure not exactly Cinderella, but he did, the proper German Western European thing, finished his high school, then finished his math studies, and has been more focused on chess after doing that the last couple of years. And he really had a big jump in 2025, winning the European Championship and then qualifying in the Grand Swiss. Now also doing well in Weißensee. But of course, he's coming from 2650, 2660 place, and he's facing all these high 2700s. Doesn't have that much experience at the level yet. So I think a lot will depend on the preparation, which I'm sure is preparing seriously, and then also on the start. If you're a bit of an outsider in these tournaments, how you get into it really matters a lot for confidence, also how other people approach the games against you. If we're only talking winning percentage, I don't know. I gave him 3%, I think, in my predictions. I did a Monte Carlo simulation thing, vibe coding, according to the current ratings, and that only gave him 1.6%. I think there should be slightly more variance because the field isn't that far apart, but I thought, somewhere in that neighborhood It's fine. Of course, he's not a favorite, but he's shown he can beat people. He just beat Keimer and Giri, for example, in Vaikanze. If things go well, we'll be rooting for him.
Very impressed you're developing proprietary models on the side. You did that just in preparation for our interview, I assume?
I'm doing for my prestigious YouTube channel in German.
Oh,
I'm
nice.
also doing a candidates preview with a video on each candidate, so I did it.
Excellent. Have you previewed all the players yet, or still working?
No,
through?
I'm halfway through. I did the bottom 4, so my knowledge will end halfway through this podcast.
And how's the German content grind?
The problem is, I think you need some regularity doing it, and I often take 2 months off. And that's not ideal, I'm being told. I enjoy it. I'm sure there's more listenership in English, but maybe not for me. But good to speak my native tongue.
Okay, and we had a question from Martin C. in the Perpetual Chess Discord, which anyone listening can join for free. And he asked if you are fearful that he could have an Abasov-like result. It sounds like no. Based on
First
what
of
you
all, was Abasov's result that terrible? Was more or less a rating expectation, right? I know he.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was last place, but yeah. not 0 points or anything.
No. I thought it was kind of normal. I think Matthias is a much better player than Abasov, even looking at the ratings and also his accomplishments in recent tournaments. I mean, if you're the bottom seed, you can't rule out ending near the bottom, but I'm remotely optimistic that he's going to do quite all right. He's also very stable mentally. Doesn't look like it when he's playing because he's always shaking his head and looks like he's tilting, but normally he's good the next day. So I don't think he's going to collapse or anything, but I would argue Abasov didn't collapse either. He just played according to his level.
Yeah, I forgot to ask you, by the way, you had on your Instagram the other day a quote from Nakamura. Svidler and Gustafsson are probably the best 2 commentators if you're an IM or better. Can I get some
wasn't sure if that was a compliment or
right.
a thinly veiled insult, but probably a bit of both. Well, we'll take it.
I mean, I feel like that sells you guys short because it's if you're an IM or better or a pop culture aficionado or a Hearthstone devotee or a cricket fan. You know, you guys are checking a lot of boxes.
Or a fan of German comedy. That's another big group like the IMs.
Yeah. Tom Waits.
I'm out on Bob Dylan.
Did you see the biopic?
Did not watch.
Good? I haven't either. I'm sure your boy Peter Svidler has, who, by the way, he is a big cricket, Tom Waits, Hearthstone. What else did I say? He's fans of all the things that Jan is not. NBA is...
I have to get into all this Svidler nonsense before the thing as well. I need at least some
someone in Hearthstone asked how you're going to draw him back from kids' card games.
I have to watch like 8 seasons of Doctor Who. It's rough. It's been a while.
Got to do that prep. Okay, returning reluctantly to the candidates field. Next up, we have 23-year-old, native of Russia, although probably not representing Russia. Did 26.98, number 32 in the live ratings as we record this. Got in from placing 3rd place in a dramatic World Cup. Also given a 2% chance on Kalshi. Fun fact, he's an Arsenal FC fan. Andrey Esipenko. Is he going to win, Jan?
I doubt it, but he's a very strong player. Like, he really hit the scene, and apologies if I get the years wrong, in 21, 22, when I think he beat Magnus in Vaikanze as a teenager. Then had an amazing match against Magnus in the World Cup either. And he was sort of pegged as the next coming great Russian player at the very least. But yeah, then his career went a bit downhill. He was at somewhere 2730-ish in that neighborhood, but got stuck in the high 2600s. I think everybody knows he's a quality player, just extremely well prepared, extremely good understanding, extremely good technique. So I'm assuming there were also some troubles in his life, not too surprisingly, starting 2022. And now he's a bit back on track, looked very, very strong in the World Cup, beat Keimer. And I think people know how good he is, how solid he is. So I don't think of him as much weaker than the field. He he has a very stable classical style, which sometimes can hurt, like winning whatever. You need to win 5-6 games without losing too many. So I doubt he's a favorite for first place, but I do think he belongs and should end up somewhere near the middle of the pack.
And in a field like this, Jan, is targeting a real thing? I mean, like when people get white, because these lower seeded players are so strong, but like if someone gets white against a Bluebaum or an Esipenko, would a player like Caruana go out of his way to play like a riskier opening choice, feeling like he has to get that point?
I'm not sure if it's going out of your way. As a default, everybody tries to play for a win in their white games, right? Unless they're strategizing. The question is really more in the black games. Like we've even seen it in Vaikansei now against Bluebaum. People went d4, g6 or d4, d6, or Sindarov played the King's Indian, which they don't do regularly. And that's, for me, a big question if they will play very riskily with the black pieces for a win from the get-go, or maybe try to get into it first. It's also a question that, I'm sure people discussed facing Abasov and so on. Do you play solidly with black early on and then adjust how the tournament goes? With white, I don't think you have to go out of your way. You prepared your e4 or your d4 or your c4, whatever, and hopefully have some ideas and you try to spring them on everybody.
And someone in the Discord also asked if you feel like there's a certain player that you feel like is more likely to spring opening surprises than others.
I mean, we can get to them even maybe in our next talking point. But people have different approaches, right? Especially often the outsiders, but also depending on your approach in general, will come with a very set opening repertoire. You play whatever. The Berlin against e4 or the Petrov against e4 or something solid, and against d4 also something classical solid, and you just try to get that as ready as you can for the tournament, because you know you can't get hurt too quickly. And then with white you also decide on some program, while others like to jump around and surprise in the opening. I don't think Andrey is someone who jumps that much, but normally he's very deep, so the surprises can also come in a line. Both people expected around move 14 or whatever. So it's always this trade-off. But I don't think Esipenko or Bluebaum are going to try to surprise early on in the first or second move, but maybe a little later.
Okay. All right, and next up, and I can't believe he's third from the bottom by rating, but listen, I didn't make the ratings. So this, of course, is Praggnanandhaa, number 12 in the world, 27.41. He's been higher at times, of course, from India. He got in by winning the 2025 FIDE circuit, and interestingly, his Cauchy probability is significantly higher. He's 14% on the betting markets, even though by rating, like someone like Giri, who we'll get to, is significantly lower. And the fun fact about Praggnanandhaa, he enjoys table tennis. How are your table tennis skills, Jan?
It's my only non-chess trophy is third place in the table tennis mini championships. Not gonna say the year. It's been a while, but no, I'm sure they're fairly terrible by now.
We got my son a table tennis table in our garage, so all the more reason for you to come to Central New Jersey.
Can't wait. You and Daryl Morey, like big pioneers of table tennis.
Yep, exactly. And nearby, you could visit both of us. But I guess, again, returning to the chess. So Praggnanandhaa is the peak. Do you feel like the betting markets are closer to being right, or the rating? Does he have closer to a 6% chance or 14%?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what happened to him, because if we did this 6 months ago, that number would be higher, and his rating would also be 2785, placing him at like number 2 or number 3 in the rankings. So I'm really not sure what happened to him. Like, I was watching him in the World Cup, and he didn't look like himself at all. Maybe that was because it was in India and lots of pressure, but he just didn't play well. And now in Vaikansei, he also didn't play that well, and his rating dropped from 2785 to whatever it is, 2741 or 45, which was it? So it dropped quite a bit. And of course, he's 20 years old, so you can't expect progress to be linear. But something's been off the last couple months, and I can't say what it is.
But you didn't answer my question. So buy or sell at 14%?
I think it's like the Lakers, big fan base. So maybe that number is a little high.
Yeah. I don't know, but when you're 20 years old and you've shown such a high peak, I mean, it is like, it comes up every candidate's preview because it's like that classic debate. And again, transcends chess. Like, how much does recent form matter? And I guess we will find out starting March 29th, 2026.
Yeah, more about Pragg. Of course, he's insanely good. And also, he dominated the chess scene in the first half of 2025, which really is not that long ago, right? I mean, he won Vaikansee. He was doing extremely well in this Grand Chess Tour. Easily won this FIDE circuit. And he's one of the guys, he played the last candidates already at age 18, who was very, very eager to surprise even early on. And you could see what an incredible amount of work had been done there. I don't know if you recall his game against Vidit, where he played some crazy Spanish with a6, f5.
Right.
And against Gukesh, he also played some very, very sharp gambit lines. So he's dangerous. He is working very, very hard, and he's not afraid to even bluff a little bit. I'm just wondering, and also his number, like we said, would be much higher if the last couple months didn't happen. I'm just wondering, what's been bothering him? Or maybe it's just, variance. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's the kind of thing where maybe one good result, you get an early win and you feel like yourself again, but we won't know. But someone who's in much better form, another young buck, 20-year-old Javokhir Sindarov, rated 2745, number 10 in the world, of course from Uzbekistan, got in from winning first at the World Cup in extremely impressive fashion, 13% on Kalshi. And the fun fact is, following his victory in the 2025 World Cup, the then 19-year-old Grandmaster was awarded a 3-room apartment and named an honored athlete of Uzbekistan by the president. Jan, have you ever been named an honored athlete of Uzbekistan?
Not of Uzbekistan. I also don't recall German Chess Federation buying me any apartments recently. But sometimes they give you a little pin you can put on your jacket,
Well, almost a 3-bedroom apartment then.
Yes, Sindarov. Kid is amazing.
Yeah,
also, we haven't mentioned this, but all these guys are prodigies, right? Maybe it does help. Shout out to the adult improvers, but maybe it does help to be really, really good early on. Like Praggnanandhaa was world champion under 8, world champion under 10. Sindarov became a grandmaster at age 12, so he's sick, and really him and Abdusattorov, who's not playing here, his countryman, are the hottest names in chess right now, right? I mean, Sindarov crushed the World Cup in very impressive fashion, then finished second if memory serves in Vaikansee. He just seems extremely good.
Yeah, and young enough where it's like you don't know if the rating has caught up to the skill jump. So,
it's jumping so quickly. I do believe momentum matters a little bit. Like you can argue, as long as you're well prepared and you have the class, it doesn't matter. But you can see his confidence, and also such a happy looking kid. It doesn't look like he feels that much pressure. I'm sure he does, and he has some. But he's always smiling, always polite, hanging out with his second. I saw him during the World Cup because they were there the whole month. This Madaminov, another friendly kid. They just seem to be having a good time while crushing everybody also. Much improved in the opening, always been a great tactician, willing to take risks. The one downside you could point at, but that's the usual, is lack of experience at this level. Not that many super tournaments, first candidates, and so on. But when it comes to momentum, form, he's up there.
Yeah, and given the government track record of supporting young players, lavishing them with cars and apartments when they do well in events, and you could say something maybe not quite as lavish, but you could say something similar for Praggnanandhaa. You feel like he's going to have decent support for a team behind him. But as I scroll through the list of names, like, is there anyone who you feel would be either at a significant advantage or disadvantage in terms of like financial resources to get a prep team, and also like with modern engines being so strong, is that as important as it used to be, just the number of people you have on your team?
I don't think anybody will have that big a disadvantage, at least not for financial reasons. Of course, it depends how people want to structure their training, how much time they want to devote, how many people they want to hire, and so on. But I know in Germany, of course, for Bluebaum, who's not a regular at that scene, wasn't easy, but there was also some support to be found. There was even some crowdfunding, and federation supported it, and so on and so forth. And like you said, like with engines being so strong, it's really more, I think, about your organizational skills than about having the means for a team. It's more if you want it and if you want to take care of. Let's organize some training camps and how I want things there, because especially for people that are new to world-class events, they're not that used to working with even 1 second, right? Like, so I think money-wise they will all be all right. It's also not like chess seconds, as far as I know, are making millions of dollars for this stuff. But I can't speak for all of them, like how much they prioritized it, and or they think, okay, it's business as usual. I'll bring my boy and we'll wing it.
Okay. All right. And next up, we have the 31-year-old Dutchman, number 8, well, Indian/Russian/Dutchman, number 8 in the world, rated 27.53. Got in from coming in first at the FIDE Grand Swiss. Kalshi gives him only a 6% chance. And a fun fact is he once had the honor of working with Grandmaster Jan Gustafsson. We, of course, are talking about Anish Giri. What do you think, Jan?
Yeah, Anish, one of the veterans in this field, even though he's barely 30, has been doing well recently. Like, of course, he's been a world-class player for at least a decade, but he did, as you mentioned, win the Grand Swiss. The Grand Swiss, is it? Vaikanze was a bit up and down, but in general, felt like he's been playing a little more aggressively. You can also see in the opening choices, like playing more Najdorfs, and of course there are all these memes about how drawish he is, which I always thought was a bit unfair, because he's not trying to make a draw from the get-go, but his style is maybe a little lower variance that sometimes later in the game he can prioritize not setting the board on fire but keeping some control, which maybe explains why his number is lower, because once again, if we're only talking first, then of course having some more variance being built into your game might help. But of course Anish is extremely smart. He knows all that, and him, I also have zero doubts that he will be preparing very, very seriously. In his first candidates, I forgot the year, must have been a while ago, maybe 10 years ago, where he infamously drew all 14 games. It wasn't like he wasn't getting chances, and he was fighting and got a lot of good positions. I mean, that earned him all this mocking, but I don't think it was deserved. And if he can put in the prep, which always is there, I would still argue he's maybe the best theoretician in the world. Spring some surprises and then uses experience. I don't know, 6% feels a little low, although I think I understand. I mean, maybe it's popularity, but I think it comes from the somewhat undeserved draw fame and the maybe more deserved, slightly lower variance style than the others.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's easy to picture him being within shouting distance with a few rounds to go, because he does seem like he has a higher floor than some of these players. But we will see. Next up, 26 years of age, from China, number 7 in the world, rated 27.54, got in from coming in second at the World Cup. Another former prodigy, Wei Yi, 6%. Fun fact, here you go, Jan. He is a fan of classic Hong Kong cinema, specifically mentioning the film God of Gamblers, starring Chow Yun-fat. For TV, he recommends the classic 1987 version of Romance of the Three Kingdoms. And for the kicker, he also likes Hearthstone. Any shared interest there, Jan? God of Gamblers?
I don't think I've seen any of those movies. Like I like some stuff. The Killer, is that 80s Hong Kong cinema, Chow Yun-fat? Don't know. No, I don't like Hearthstone. I heard he's also into PlayStation and writing poems. Didn't he write this beautiful poem for Ding before the World Championship match?
Right.
So,
yeah.
a man of any interest. Stylistically, of course, he's incredibly good. Also with Wei Yi, maybe we already forgot the prodigy part. He broke 2,700. What was it? Age 14, age 15? Some insanely young age. But now, yeah, he's been around for a while, and I would see him somewhat similar to Anish. Maybe that's also why the number isn't that high. And he started out as a firebrand tactician, but he's been very, very solid the last couple of years. Places Petrovs, places E4 Italians, doesn't lose much, which makes him incredibly good in formats like the World Cup. But it's once again the question: can he win enough games in a field like that? Still, I'm a big fan. He was my teammate, as were some of these guys. Helps to have really good teammates apparently in German Bundesliga. Sindarov, Wei Yi, Anish, Esipenko were all on my team, and I was watching some Wei Yi games, and I was impressed with whatever move 25. He has 3 seconds on the clock. No, he has 30 seconds on the clock. He sits there, he thinks, waits till he has 3 or 2 seconds. Makes a move very calmly, writes it down. His opponent makes a move, he has 30 seconds, and rinse and repeat for the next 15 moves. He would always make a move with 1, 2, 3 seconds on the clock, completely relaxed, not blundering anything, while I'm panicking if I see these seconds running down. So he's very, very good, very, very stable. The usual question: can he win enough games?
Hearing you talk about his time management, Jan, that makes me think of the time control, which they're doing it's unusual, but they did do this last time in the candidates where there's no increment or delay for the first time control. Try to induce a little bit of action. So it's 120 minutes for 40 moves. And I was thinking about it when you mentioned his time management, because like you're old like me, and we came up without that even being an invention. So I think part of the reason we get nervous is it's wired in our brains that you know, your flag is going to fall, whereas someone who's younger and grew up with the increment is more used to it. But more big picture, Jan, how do you like the fact that they don't have delay in the first 40 moves?
Yeah, I've always been a fan. I never liked any of this delay increment business at all. It just doesn't make sense to me on any level. Like, you can have the same time that you spend on average for the first 40 moves, but you just allow players to spend it whenever they want. And frankly, the main reason why we have these 30 seconds per move in most tournaments is that it's less work for the arbiters. It's that players can always write down their moves. You don't need to monitor the time trouble phase where people get below 5 minutes. But I think it's good for the players. I think it's good for the spectators, because what's more fun than someone having 10 seconds to make 8 moves? Like, why are we trying to make chess even more boring? Like, let the players handle their own time. I think it's also fine, which they're doing here as well, to have increment then later in the game. The 30 seconds per move, you don't want anybody losing a rook endgame because they're being flagged, but to have a proper time control on move 40, I've always very much been in support of that. And you can make it whatever, 90 minutes for the first 40 moves or 2 hours for the first 40 moves, depending on how long you want to play. But this 30 seconds from move 1, I never understood, other than, making open tournaments easier to manage. So I'm all in favor.
Just such a FIDE company man, you know, they set the time control and you're just all about it.
No, in my defense, I've been consistent with this for at least 20 years, mainly because I'm bad at playing with increment.
We kid because we love FIDE. No, and I approve of it wholeheartedly as well. I think it's a good choice. Next up, 33 years of age, rated 2798, number 3 from the United States. Got in via the 2024 FIDE Circuit Tournament. The Kalshi market gives him a robust 34% chance. And fun fact, this is an old fun fact, but it was kind of obscure, so I rolled with it. Caruana, an aspiring filmmaker who studied screenwriting in his spare hours, calls himself a fan of Quentin Tarantino, David Lynch, Guillermo del Toro, and David Cronenberg. I had to look up David Cronenberg, but...
Fly?
What's that?
The Fly?
Yeah.
You had to look up David Cronenberg?
Yeah. No, not familiar. Sheltered Life. Do you approve of his movie taste, Jan?
I really can't stand David Lynch, and I always get a lot of hate for that because people are talking themselves into that these are great masterpieces. I don't get it. The others I'm on board with.
Yeah, David Lynch, he was like Mulholland Falls and some other artsy type movies, right?
Mulholland Drive.
Mulholland Drive, right. Thank you. I'm killing it here in the movie department.
This is shocking stuff then. Twin Peaks, or of Twin Peaks?
Ah, yes, that was what was escaping me. Yeah, not really my style either. I just like to be told a nice clean story beginning to end. I don't need the special effects and the, time lapses.
I don't need the thinking. Like, is this a dream sequence? Are these two girls the same person? Like, just explain it to me. You can have a few twists. You can surprise me, but don't make it all that brainy.
Yeah, we don't want homework when we're watching these movies. No. Okay, so Caruana.
Anyway, that's the Fabi discussion.
Yeah, on to Nakamura. So, what do you think? Is it finally? I mean, I shouldn't say finally, but is it time? Can he do it again?
I would think. Of course, we can argue about that with the next name, but I would think he should be the favorite. No, I mean he's still in the quote unquote right age bracket, but the clock is ticking with all these 20-year-olds entering the top 10. But Fabi, how old did you say he was? 33? He's not old yet, is he?
33, yeah.
Yeah. We do know he's taking this seriously. He has tons of experience, won whenever it was in 2020, came very close in... Sorry, I'm getting all my years... No, it wasn't 2020. When was the Magnus match? 2018. So he won 2017. Anyway, he's won before. Got very close in 2015 as well. Then there was this weird candidates year where Magnus didn't want to defend his title. Never was confused if second would be enough, where Fabi started very strongly and then somehow collapsed in the second half, the one in Madrid. But we know he's taking this very, very seriously. The big question for him is it still possible nowadays? Because I think it's gotten a bit tougher with everybody having strong engines and computers getting so good to quote-unquote kill people in the openings. Because he would always come with such amazing move-by-move, incredibly deep prep. And I think that might have gotten a little tougher. He has the experience, he has the class, he still has everything you would need, but I'm not sure how big his edge can be, especially in his specialty, the opening prep.
Wow. Okay, so a bit of a hot take that I infer that you're calling it a sell at the 34% probability.
I did say he's the favorite. No, I'm not sure what number you would put on it. Like my simulation has 32.8, which is very, very, very similar. But I don't think anybody can have more than 1/3 chances in such a field where it's so close. Maybe if Magnus was playing, but other than that, I'm not sure. But Fabi, did you hear, by the way? Maurice leaked on air the other day that he's preparing with Aronian, which I guess not a big surprise. They're both in St. Louis, and I'm sure they're friendly and have been working together. But normally you don't want info about your helpers out, no?
Yeah, I had not heard that. But does that stuff still matter? Like, does that mean that you would still, like, if Aronian's on the team, would you think that certain openings are more probable than others?
I don't think it matters as much as it used to, where people used to be specialists. But in chess, we've always had this culture of being secretive about your seconds, and maybe Fabi is saying, okay, whom are we kidding? This doesn't matter, and it's fine. Or it was an accident. He did have like a more serious leak during the World Championship match with Magnus, where some film crew filmed his screen and gave us some clues about the openings that were prepared. Not that it helped, but no, I was just curious if this is public information or a mistake or a leak. I don't think it matters all that much.
Yeah, I mean, you would think the sort of St. Louis triumvirate, you would expect Dominguez, whether it's leaked or not, there's a good chance you would think that he's helping. And obviously his right-hand man, Christian Carilla, it's not anyone beyond that. I wouldn't know, but on to the final, the top seed, the final person to discuss. 38 years of age, 28-10, number 2 in the world from the United States, got in via Mickey Mouse tournaments. No, just kidding. Got in via rating.
How dare you insult the Louisiana State Championship and the Ohio Open?
Kalshi gives him a 31% chance. Fun fact, loves to play actual tennis, not table tennis. How are your tennis skills, Jan?
Non-existent. I think, maybe I played twice when I was 14 or something. That's the extent of my tennis knowledge.
I'm there with you.
I didn't have like a sheltered youth like you with the private schools and tennis courts. Like I was grinding on the mean streets of Hamburg.
Didn't you learn chess on like a boat? I don't.
You think you had a tennis court on the boat?
Anyway, so Hikaru, I mean, this could be the last chance. One last heist. Age 38. Can he do it?
I don't know. To me, he's ageless, and also he seems to have unlimited amounts of energy. I still don't understand how Hikaru does it. Like, he hasn't played super tournaments for a long time, or classical chess. I think his last was Norway Chess 2025, and to jump back and forth between content creation, playing 1200s, and explaining what the smothered mate is, and then to play against the best in the world, successfully keeping a 2800 rating. I don't get it. I think he said himself it probably wouldn't work for most people, but somehow it's working for him. So I have this built-in skepticism that, Kaisa is a jealous mistress and you need some super tournament practice and prep and so on. I'm sure he's preparing, but it's so strange to me, but he keeps proving me wrong. So I do not know.
Yeah, he is like the one that breaks the models, as they say. I mean, it is, it's amazing that he's able to maintain his level. And you think that he does still have that level despite, the accusations of let's face it, he doesn't play as much as everyone else that we've mentioned in terms of classical chess.
Yeah, no, that's been my big question, but it's also been like that, I think, the last couple of years, maybe not to that extent now, also with the birth of his child and the FIDE regulations on how he qualified by rating. But I don't think it's affected him that much, and I'm not sure what has changed. Of course, he has very specific chess skills, the muscle memory, pattern recognition that won't just go away. And in a way, I guess he also keeps honing them by playing chess or creating content non-stop. He's so hard to beat, even from a bad position. He calculates so well, he's so resilient, and he can pick up points if they come up. I really struggled with like percentage or where to put him. I'm more old school, and Fabi's approach to me feels more familiar, like prepare tons of openings and work on your tactics or whatever, then show up and play. But yeah, Hikaru, also what we should mention, I think he always wins against Fabi, no? I mean, which maybe helps.
Right. And they play in round 1, of course, being from the same country.
Always wins is an exaggeration, but he has a very, very serious score over the last couple of years. And if that keeps happening, if he's deep enough in Caruana's head, I do not know. Yeah, I mean, I would also give him... Yeah, odds close. I think I had the number a little lower because I tried to discount a little bit for inactivity. But he's proven us wrong time and time again. Then again, he's never won the candidates. He's come close, I think, twice. But maybe this is the one. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I do feel like he still has a high floor, but I mean, I think he would be a sell at 31%. I agree with you. It would be fun if he won. I mean, there's a lot of potential compelling storylines among who could win, but that one in particular, like, because he obviously, whether he gets one more chance, he's talked about retirement. Like, he's not going to have 5 more chances most likely. So the number of
what's he retiring from? The Louisiana State Championship is out.
I don't know. I think he might even mean Twitch streaming. I mean, he's got a lot of interests outside of chess, so and he's done well for himself.
How's that U.S. stock market doing these days?
Yeah, I don't know. For some reason, it hasn't been doing as well. I'm not sure why. But he trades options, so maybe he's killing it, even as the market is not killing it. But yeah, I suppose we should reveal the winners of the tournament at this point, Jan. But
who won?
I think you and we both have a sort of tendency from our poker backgrounds to think probabilistically. So I'm not going to punt. I'm going to make a pick, but just the obvious caveat that when I look at the rating and the the Kalshi market distributions, I'm like, looks about right, But all right, I'll pick Sindarov. I think.
Wow.
Because he's like the young guy with the momentum,
As you think the most likely, or as the most value for money?
Yeah, I think he would be the best buy, I guess you would say.
That I agree with. I would still give Fabi slightly higher chance
of course.
Of winning, but the best buy, I agree, is Sindarov. In general, my rough ranking, which is only for first place, I don't think these will be, but best chance for first place would be Fabi, then Nakamura and Sindarov very close, then Pragg because of higher variance, then Wei Yi, Anish similar, and then Bluebaum, Esipenko with slightly lower ratings.
Yeah, but Esipenko does have the air quotes advantage. He's only 23. So Bluebaum has made this amazing jump, in the past few years as he turns his attention to chess full time. But Esipenko, I do give him a slightly better chance than Bluebaum just because I'm ageist like that. Do you share that stereotype?
Not really in Bluebaum's case, because first of all, he's 28. It's not like he's ancient. And secondly, I think Esipenko has been a quote-unquote chess professional for a much longer time than Bluebaum. So in a way, it feels like Bluebaum, even though he's older age-wise, is newer when it comes to this scene and focusing on chess. Also 23 nowadays. In Sindarov is 20, Pragg is 20, Wei Yi is, 27. Yeah, Anish, Fabi, Hikaru are past 30, but 23 is not a kid in the chess world.
Yeah, I suppose that's true. It's a little depressing to even say that, but such it is. And of course, the women's tournament will be going on concurrently this time. They've done it in different ways in the past as compared to now, where sometimes they do it as a separate standalone event, but other times they have them together. Before we get to the field, Jan, do you feel like what do you think of them running it concurrently to the Open candidates?
I kind of like it. First of all, why have a different system? I didn't really see the logic there. Also for the event itself. I mean, it was the same in Toronto during the last candidates. And if not, it's such a small group. If you only have these 8 guys playing each other in whatever the breakfast room, it's good to at least, have the women there as well, to not have the atmosphere getting too weird, too claustrophobic. So no, to me it makes perfect sense.
Okay, and as for the field, so we have Katerina Lagno, 36 from Russia, 2508. Vaishali Ramesh Babu from India, 24 years of age. She's actually older than I thought, or would have guessed without looking. She's 2470. Zhu Jiner, China, 23, number 2 in the world, 2578. Alexandra Goryachkina, 27, rated 2534, number 7 in the world. Divya Deshmukh, 19, rated 2509, number 10 in the world. Hampi Kanaru, 38, rated 2535, number 5 in the world. Tan Zhongyi, 34, rated 2535, number 6 in the world. And last but not least, Asubayeva, who is 22 years of age, rated 25-16 from Kazakhstan. And we have this definitely not written by AI paragraph from the FIDE page that says, the 2026 field artfully blends experienced candidate veterans with energetic next-generation contenders, making for a dynamic tournament narrative. So do these next-generation contenders, I have an opinion about this, but first I want to hear your more important opinion, Jan. Do these next-generation contenders, like, how live are they to win?
So if we're looking at these, the two young up-and-comers are Divya and Bibisara, I would
I don't know if Vaishali...
Maybe Zhuzhine, we can count. Vaishali's been around for a while. She played in the last candidates. I would think she's part of the establishment. Huh?
Yeah, and Zhu also 23, but number 2 already. I mean, you can't really call her an up-and-comer. Yeah, so I guess it's really just the youngest two.
Yeah, and they're still a bit behind when it comes to rating and obviously experience. That goes without saying with the youngest, but Divya did win this World Cup and looked like she was improving rapidly. Bibisara also running from success to success. Me, I don't know enough about Zhuzhine, but 2578, of course, rating improving greatly, still very young. That sounds serious. I'm also very curious if Hampi, the veteran, who's such a classical, well-trained, solid player, can teach these kids one last time, then you can never discount Lachno either, of course, or Tan Shongji, who's been there, done that as well. So I don't have strong opinions. I think it would be fun for shaking up the scene to see Divya or Bibisara competing and maybe ending up at the top. But when it comes to favorites, I guess I'm picking Zhuzhine and Koneru being ratingist.
Okay, yeah, I wouldn't have necessarily guessed Koneru, although I guess, yeah, she is the second highest rated, but also a little bit older at age 38. But yeah, I mean, Zhuzhine definitely seems, I mean, she's got a significant rating advantage and she's still pretty young. And returning to our topic about sort of government support vis-a-vis the Chinese players, Wei Yi in the open section and the Chinese players in the women's, do you think that they're okay? Because that is one, you hear about them struggling to find sponsors and not getting as much government support. Do you think that might be an issue both in the open and the women's?
It's still a bit of a black box to me how things work right now in China. Of course, we've had the famous Ding stories, like Ding arriving all by himself to play a candidates tournament in Madrid, and also with a very, very small team, at least from what we've heard, to play the World Championship match. I could never really tell if that was a Ding thing or a China thing or a pandemic thing or all of those. I've heard, but this is really more speculation than any real knowledge. I'm sure many people would know better, that the party in China, I'm not sure how much they're involved in chess, but has not made chess as much a priority as it used to be. I'm not sure if that affects how things work over there. So basically, I don't have enough knowledge, but I would assume, especially in women's chess, they've been dominant for a while, that there's also not going to be problems in enlisting trainers. But okay. I honestly don't know.
Yeah, and it seems like in the women's tournament, they're often just going to have 1 second from what I've gathered, at least certainly like on site. So that is not a massive financial strain. So you would think that they would be on relatively equal footing, although certainly you might think the Indian players might have a bit more support based on recent precedent.
Yeah, but also the support narrative is always easy to say, okay, this guy or this girl has 5 people working for them. That's not really what it's about, right? I mean, you still have to conserve your energy and you can only scroll through so many files before the game. It doesn't help you if you get 100 files that say 000. So it's really more about having someone you trust and who you have a bit of rapport with when it comes to preferences, and who's ideally good at finding ideas. But it's not so much a numbers game, like you need a team of 4 people or 7 people or 28 people. It's engines are so good, it's really more about organizing your own training, and there, of course, can help to have some people around for training games company, but I don't think it's about who can afford the most helpers.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, well, Jan, we're recording. It's like 2 weeks away, coming right up. Blessed by the time people hear this.
Can't wait.
Yeah, exciting. Are you gonna? Did they rope you in for any, like, you or Peter doing any sort of game of the day or anything like that, or are you just strictly broadcasting?
I do hope it's quote-unquote strictly broadcasting, of course. Being the social media savant that I am, if there's some PR to do, I guess we'll do it. But no, this game of the day is rough. I mean, you're sitting there for 6 hours or 7 hours doing commentary, and then, okay, now analyze and do the game of the day. I don't know if I find any energy. Maybe I'll do it for the Germans on my YouTube channel, the Janistan TV. But no, I don't think that's part of our duties.
Yeah, and that makes more sense because, I mean, I can understand why FIDE would say might as well have them do it, and they're paying you and force you to do it. But on the other hand, like, you've got everyone covering it, every YouTuber under the sun,
Exactly.
And you don't really have like a distinct advantage from being there in terms of like analyzing the game. So yeah, I say don't make him do it, FIDE. All right, well, yeah, we obviously have a bit of nonsense to get to. Now that we've wrapped up the candidates, although possibly not as much as usual, but we do have a question from a Patreon supporter, and this one is from Paul Ferris. So thanks for helping to support Perpetual Chess. And Paul writes and says,
"Thanks, Paul."
Yes, appreciated, Paul. He says, "I'm sorry I didn't ask a question last time you were on. You sounded very disappointed that there were no questions."
I was.
So, as the chess world continues to develop with more formats, more competitions, and more celebrities, what would you like to keep and what would you like to see change? He says, "I always enjoy your content and your comedy. Thanks for putting it out there."
My son just entered the studio trying to provide some comedy, of his own. He's dressed up as a mouse.
That's great.
Jonas, lass mich kurz. Ich muss mir nur noch zu Ende aufnehmen. Ich komme gleich zu dir.
Tell him to come on camera.
What was the question? What do I want changed in the chess world?
Yeah, or not. Yeah.
Frankly, I think chess world is doing more or less all right now. I mean, like, we have plenty events. We have the candidates coming up. It's big on YouTube. There's something for everyone. I'm of course a hater of people that are more successful, and I blame them of memifying the game. So I'm sick of the Stafford Gambit. Shout out to the Stafford Gambit, the Bonk Cloud, the whatever nonsense it is. And I notice it even a bit with stronger players, like not at candidates level, but so many people taking the shortcut because it's easier to make YouTube series or courses, playing the Verisov or the London Opening. So I'm a bit worried about that trend, but that's just me being old and grumpy and bitter and jealous. As for chess itself, yeah, I'm not sure if it has decided the future of classical events. Are we going more rapid over the board, more freestyle, more online tours, more Title Tuesdays? I'm not sure where it's headed, but it seems, I mean, maybe it's not at pandemic levels, but chess is doing quite all right, isn't it?
Yeah, it seems to be doing well. I mean, yeah, I like as I've said this many times, but I like the mixed formats, the little bit of classical, a little bit of rapid, a little bit of blitz, all in one event. Although now they're calling an event like that the World Championship, and Magnus is participating. It's
maybe that we can change. Can we have fewer World Championships?
Yeah.
I'm so confused. With the total World Championship, the Freestyle World Championship, Rapid Blitz World Championship, of course. And I understand it's probably good to have that logo. But once again, I'm old school. I like my candidates and my World Championship match. Of course, it's a bit of a strange situation, and people are asking, does it make sense if the strongest player is not participating, and so on and so forth. But also, what can we do? No, Magnus retired from World Championship matches. Shall we just stop stop the circuit until someone overtakes Magnus on the rating list is also not how it works. Like Gukesh won and earned his title. What can you do?
Yeah, and I feel like the total world chess, like the FIDE World Cup in a sense is total chess. I mean, and it's weighted towards classical because if you outperform in classical, you don't have to play the faster formats. But as a fellow veteran like you, I like that. So yeah, I mean, it's good that they got Magnus to play, but I don't need it to be called the World Championship. Any new courses in the works, Jan?
There's always courses in the works, which mainly is a reason for me to feel terrible all day for not really working on them. But yeah, I'm working on a 1C4 course, the
Excellent.
English, and trying to expand my horizons a little bit. Maybe one day I'll also do a repertoire against 1D4. I don't know. Maybe I should stop, doing these long, complicated opening courses and finally join the dark side. Top 10 tricks to get from 1200 to 1600.
What would be your number one trick?
Don't hang all your pieces.
That's a good trick. Easier said than done, though. All right, and pop culture recommendations, NBA hot takes, anything else before we get you out of here, Jan?
What am I into? I haven't watched the Polgar thing yet. I should watch that.
Wow,
Also, the Hans thing is coming out. No,
that's coming
the
soon.
Niemann thing is coming
documentary.
April 17th or something. Maybe after the candidates. I'm waiting till after the candidates to put it out there. No.
Yeah.
As for non-chess, you watching Industry? I'm obsessed with the show.
I feel like I'm too
Industry.
old. Am I allowed to watch it?
Of course, it's for old people.
Really? I thought it was like young people.
It is young people, but they're interacting with old people, and we can learn
Okay.
valuable lessons. Now, that's been my favorite show. Other than that,
Is it funny? Is
not
it
that
dramatic? What's
everything. It's like The Wire, Ben. It shows how rotten our society is
Layers,
on many
okay.
levels.
All right.
Finance, politics, human interaction, sex, drugs, rock and roll.
Excellent.
Things are bad.
And when you watch these shows, do you watch them in English or like any? I mean, obviously your English is flawless, but do you bother with dubbing or subtitles or anything? Or
No, I always watch in English with English subtitles. First of all, it's an English show, so you can't understand what they're saying. Like you Americans, I can more or less understand. But normally, if I have a choice, I watch in English with English subtitles like that. I can follow everything and also improve my reading comprehension, because I don't read books. I'm not sure about you, but that's the reading I'm doing. It's subtitles.
Gotcha. I'm doing Anthony Jeselnik's book club, so I do read books. Did you see what he's doing?
You're still a Jeselnik cat. I haven't heard that podcast for a long time.
Well, no, they retired his podcast, but now he's doing a book club where he's like, he's like, I have a lot of male fans. Men don't read enough fiction. So every month I'm going to recommend a different fiction book, and then I'm going to do a YouTube video and talk about it for 45 minutes. So it's, March, it's the third month. I'm reading a Vonnegut book. It's fun. Yeah, would recommend.
Nice. He finds the time for all this reading. No, I thought he was busy, like fighting against the current state of comedy but maybe it's only when he has to promote a special.
Yeah. I mean, I think he has no shortage of free time.
Must be nice.
Exactly. Okay. Well, Jan, pleasure as always. Grateful.
That's it. That was our small talk. Oh, we never learn about you. How's your life?
Yeah, pretty. No complaints on my end. So, I mean, plenty of complaints, but
we'll keep those for off the air.
Exactly. All right. Well, Jan, I'm afraid we're out of nonsense topics. If we think of more or listeners send more, I'm sure Jan will be back when that Chessable course drops. If not sooner.
Should mention that my Chessable courses are still amazing. Like the Disrupt D4, the D4, D5, C4, C5 course is amazing.
Evergreen.
The aggressive E4 repertoire, still aggressive. Keeps getting more aggressive every day. So check those out. But I'll be on here plugging whatever I do. If you happen to understand German, also check out my Twitch and YouTube, Janistan TV, where there's tons of educational German content. Sorry, I couldn't keep a straight face with the educational. Pleasure being here.
Thank you, Jan. Appreciate it. Have a good time in Cyprus.